drive that elbow out, but also we got to fight that shoulder in, okay? So it's this to get that palm back out. Make sense?
Yeah.
Right here, and let's lower it just a little bit. And pinch, there we go. Okay, so it's fighting it through in here. Boom, finish right there, exactly. Keep this shoulder calm now. There's nothing wrong with turning this shoulder in an actual throw. But for this drill, we're just focusing on that finish part. It's just kind of a warm-up, okay? Now, we're gonna go back a little bit, and this is what's gonna be new for you, all right? It's gonna feel weird, but what we're gonna do is practice getting the elbow moving sooner. You really focus on the L position, and then move the elbow. I'm gonna have you move your elbow forward in the throw sooner. So we're gonna set up in what we call the scoop position, all right? Now the toes are gonna be square still because we're just gonna focus on the upper body, okay? Now turn your shoulders close to your target and separate your hands. But see, that's exactly it. We're not gonna go here, we're gonna go here. Back a little bit, all right? So from here, okay, we're gonna create a smooth move into L, up. Okay, the difference between what I just did, okay, so it's here, into L, right through, okay? Now, what most of us do, and where you're at right now, is you want to go to L, okay? Do you understand the difference between to and through? All right, so you're going to L. I want you to load up a little bit and go through L fast, all right? So shoulders are closed, okay? So we're here, and then a little, that's good. And it's drive this elbow to get through L. Back up a little bit, back up to me. Faster. Some guys it feels weird. All right, man, that's starting to pop out. It's smooth, right? You're here and it's getting into L and your L is riding forward. That's really good. One thing we're gonna do, back up a little bit more, okay? Now, with your front knee, take your front foot out a little bit. We're gonna drop to the knee for a couple reps, okay? So drop down to your right knee all the way to the ground, okay? What we want to do is isolate the upper body a little bit better. Your hips really want to get involved in the throw. I want to take them out of it. So starting in the same position, okay, not so far back, okay, just ball just about even with the elbow is perfect. Okay, keep the shoulders back and just work that upper body throw. Go. Good. Now, when we finish, okay, we'll do a couple more from down here, then we'll stand back up. When we finish, okay, I want you to see how much distance you can create, okay, between your index finger and your left shoulder, okay? So if we drive the chest forward, that distance is staying there, right? But if I'm staying nice and tall, when I finish, okay, so the shoulder turns, we're out, okay? Yeah, exactly. So now it's all out into the arm. Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. We're gonna go back down to our pre-pass position, okay? Now the challenge is to get there, okay? So if we're there, it's one thing to learn the movement from that position. It's another to make sure we can get there, all right? So we don't have to think too much about pushing the ball away. In fact, the first thing I'm gonna do, which might be a little different for you, is have your hands separate in your pre-pass position. So I want your front hand to get a little bit more distance, back hand's here. So the hands are separate, but let's keep the toes straight ahead. So it's, yeah, and then just turn closed. So from here, if here is our pre-pass, I want you a little bit more relaxed too. All right, yeah. Great, you're very coachable, very good, okay? So from here, now show me in slow motion from here how you'd get to that scoop that yeah. So the elbow goes back, behind the body, elbow goes this way, ball goes this way. Nice and easy, right? Perfect, okay? So now, full throw, going to that position and through it fast. Make sure, good. So, right, start this drill here in the pre-pass, as if this hand was on it. All right. Now, real quick, go ahead and relax. Go ahead and relax. Do you know why I want your hands separate right now? Okay, good. I want your hands separate because I want to see them independently working the way they're supposed to. Okay, because sometimes when this ball's on the hand, it decides it's going to help us separate. All right. I want to see how fast and how smoothly this arm can move on its own. So we take the other hand off of it to force that to happen. Okay. Very well, okay? The last couple throws, you're starting to kind of go back to this. So keep that ball down just a little bit. The elbow can lift a tad, but don't feel like you need to drive that elbow up fast to L, okay? Or the ball up fast to L. Right, so it's here, and then you naturally do a very good job of getting your elbow up. So it might feel that you're down here, but when we actually watch videos, your elbow might seem low there, but then when you come through, boom, we're at zero position. Okay, so don't worry about it being too low back here, because when it comes through and it's coming through fast, your speed of release, and when I say speed of release, I mean the time from here till here is awesome. It's where I need it to be. I don't need to coach arm speed for you, all right? It's exactly right when you're here, because you're fast. It's out, okay? So trust it. Keep that elbow back, keep that ball down as we drive through. A couple more, just feeling the positions from this, and then we'll start. Smooth. Turn the hips closed and set up in more of a pre-pass type position with our base, all right? Now, one of the big things that's gonna add power to your throw is proper timing of the hips and then the shoulder turn, okay? The two separate movements, okay? Now, this is where it might get a little complicated, what I say, okay? Sometimes people who speak English have a hard time understanding what I'm saying, so I gotta make sure that I explain this very well, okay? So from here, the hips are closed. That last drill where the hips are square, that's our aiming point for what our hips do. So our hips will do this, but we don't think they want to go any more of a rotation than straight ahead, okay? They'll move this way a little bit as we finish, but we don't necessarily want them to turn all the way around in the with the pelvis facing the other way. Now the shoulders are a different story, right? We were talking about making the most distance between the left shoulder and then the index finger. So the finish of our throw, when we release, we want to see something like this. Square hips, shoulders turned, and then as we bring this arm down and the leg through, it'll look like that sort of finish. All right? So what we want to do is we want to start the hips, but then stop them from turning and let it go this way. Okay? Yeah, that's kind of the idea. Right, it's weird. They go forward, stop, okay? And they stop that turn and then drive through at the end. Exactly. Okay? So what we're gonna work is we're gonna work that kind of position right there, and the hips will start to turn as we go back into the scoop, but then we wanna stop them square and let the upper body take over. We'll back you up a little bit because he's gonna get those hips moving. It's gonna add some pop to this throw. Here, we're just gonna slide our weight forward, start the same thing. But first, before this, okay, before this, it's this. Yes, very good. This, then this. Yes. Forward, around with the hips. So the hips shift forward, then in. Your arm is still figuring out how to work with that, okay?
But right there, if we dial in on your hips, hips go forward, then they turn, but the knee stays down. Boom. Dude.
Okay, relax. Pre-pass right. Relax those elbows. Vertical back. Vertical back, loaded hips. Good. Relaxed shoulders. So I'm adding, so we're still working, shift the weight, turn the hip.
Step back there after.
Right, yeah, so it's like we just finished a drop, okay? So instead of it being this, we're going here, okay? Now the challenge, there are two things that happen, especially with the little guys when they do this. As soon as this foot hits, they lift up this one. Where do the hips go? Right here, okay? So right, we want to stay down. And the other thing is similar to that. We don't want to pop up really fast because what happens to my back knee? What does it do? Right, exactly. So there's going to be just a little bit of a catch so that it can go here, out. So we've got to make sure that the weight is exactly going out with the hip staying exactly where it is. We catch, hip stays down as we drive out.
What about your back and knee? The danger of doing that is going straight to your back knee. Either you want to do
And that's exactly the correction I was talking about. Exactly right. You're exactly right. If you go here and extend your back knee, it drives the hip. The back knee flexion, okay, the amount of bend is directly tied with the level of the hip. Directly tied. So we're here, knee stays bent as we shift the weight. Absolutely. Absolutely. What we're going to do now, and instead of holding this one up to start, we're going to hold the other one. So we'll be here, and on the throw, we're going to go crossover, set, throw. Okay? Now that crossover is crucial. One of the things we're starting to do with our older guys, kind of our more advanced guys, is we're letting the crossover, okay, if we try to be right on top,
we lose our balance as well.
right? We gotta swing this foot around to not hit our other foot. So sometimes we're letting that crossover go a little bit further that way, right? So if you were to do, I'll explain it to you real quick. So if you put this leg, your other leg, your crossover can come a little bit farther towards me so that you can clear your foot. Because sometimes when we teach youth guys, we're like here, here, right on top of each other, all right? So we're doing the same idea where we want to locate that wide base by the time that foot hits. We're just adding a crossover to it. Forget the drive. You understand what I mean by drive, right? Yes, very good. Okay, good. So here's what I'm seeing. Weight stays here, okay?
Yes.
Get it out there. Get it out there, then control it. Better. Stay lower, longer. Boom. Fast with that arm. Fast with that arm.